without question, the best country for Jews and Judaism is the United States of America. And for whatever reason, we're a tiny percentage here in America, but the non-Jews respect us as a majority. And I'm going to say, and this gets back to what your question was before about Christianity, I say the average person in this country is a Christian. And in this country, American Christians respect Jewish people. That on average, the average person in America is an American Christian, and the average American Christian respects Jews. And because of that, we've had a very good relationship here. So I love American Christians. I have no problem with them.
What was the real problem? So the Israelites, in the beginning of chapter 25, they're staying at Shittim. And the people profane themselves by whoring with the Moabite women.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're staying in Shittim, be careful of those Moabite women. So what was the main problem with what they did? Was it that they had sex with Moabite women, or was it that the sex was accompanied or led to idolatry?
I think it's both. The whole thing is a really sad point in our history. But you want me to tell the whole story here?
Yeah.
Okay, there were 24,000 Jewish men who picked up these See, Balaam's not stupid. Balaam's not stupid. He knew that the downfall of the Jewish people. He said the Jews are connected to God and they're never going to turn away from God. But he knew our soft spot, our weakness, our Achilles heel, is that we dig chicks.
Yeah.
Jewish guys dig chicks, and the more they learn Torah, the harder our Yetzer Hara, the harder our evil inclination will fight and make us want chicks more. You show me a guy who's learning Torah 24/7, and I'm going to show you a guy who's going to have a really hard time fighting to keep his eyes off a woman that we send in front of him. Because the harder you're learning, and the more you're doing the right thing, and doing Judaism, the harder the Yetzer Hara is going to fight to try to distract you. And nothing distracts us more than a hot-looking chick walking by. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. All right, so here's what's going on. Balaam knew that, and he said, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to try to overpower them with force. We're not going to hit them with, these 100-pound, these 100-megaton bombs. That's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to send the hot chicks at them. So they brought in all these chickses, these really hot ones. They brought in all the Swedish chicks, and they brought in the German chicks, with the gold hair and everything. They brought in like the exotic, like the Arab and the Indian chicks, and everybody's going crazy. 24,000 guys got corrupted, and they ended up having sex with these women. And not only did the women get that, but once they were done with them, or whatever, they held over this avodah zorah to them, and they said, you got to bow down to the Baal Por, this false god. He says, you bow down to this, and you'll get a happy ending. And these guys went for it. I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? I mean, think about this. This is unbelievable. Just a few years earlier, they heard God's voice at Mount Sinai, and right now they're bowing down to this thing just so they can get a blowjob. I mean, where does it go? That they're totally denying God, because when you bow down to avodah zorah, you're basically denying God. So what they're basically doing is saying, there's no God. 10 years ago they heard him at the Mount Sinai, right? Because they want a blowjob that bad. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Right? Now, keep in mind, it's not all the Jewish men. There were 600,000 men who went out to war. 24,000 of them were culprits in this. They're all named. 24,000. 24,000 out of 600,000 is less than 5%. So 96% of the Jewish men did not fall for this crap. But 4% did. And that is way too many. There shouldn't even be one guy. There should not have even been one guy. Because nobody should fall for this 10 years after you just saw God at Mount Sinai or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
So the answer is, this is how hard the Yetzer Hara fights. If we can see that somebody who just heard God's voice at Sinai could fall for shiksas and bow down to sticks and stones just a short time later, then how much more so we have to be careful ourselves. We could end up doing the same thing. And that's why we have all these laws in place to make sure that people don't, it's so important not to get involved with other people. We have the Shomer Negiah, you're not supposed to even touch, not supposed to have mixed dancing. It's all these things because left to our own devices, we're just going to have an orgy. That's how strong the Yetzer Hora is in this area. And that's the logic, because a lot of times you hear, these Orthodox people, they're so fanatic, they won't sit on the same side, and they have to have separate seating, and they have to have separate dancing, and it's just so stupid. I want to dance with my boyfriend, and why can't I sit next to the men, and why can't they even touch? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, it absolutely does make sense, because we know, our rabbis aren't stupid. They knew that if they let us all, touch and intermingle, we're going to all end up having an orgy.
And this couple that Pinchas kills, he takes Zimri and his whore. I mean, they didn't just hook up. They wanted to have sex right in front of the whole people, right in front of Moses and the elders. I mean, that's some pretty big balls. Could you imagine a couple going into shul on Shabbos morning? Like when they take the Torah out, they got the Torah spread out there on the Aron HaKodesh, and this guy and his whore like jump on up and
right on the bima.
Yeah, right on the bima, right on top of the Torah, and start going at it, like in front of
whatever gets you off.
I mean, that's some balls.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pinchas comes along, and he drives a spear right through both of them, and kills them, and.
Shish kebab.
Yeah.
One store through both of them. Through both of their genitals.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, is it a pike or a javelin? Like, if you were having sex with someone in front of the whole congregation, would you rather be murdered with a spear, a pike, or a javelin?
Me? I'd rather just have a heart attack, doing it.
So it's not a long-shafted javelin, but a short-shafted pike, according to this commentary, which could be held in both hands, like the modern bayonet thrust downward upon a recumbent body. Since Pinchas was probably on duty as chief of the sanctuary guards, he was armed. So that's perhaps how this took place.
I'm just curious again, is there any questions here being asked?
I'm following it, but we're doing well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
They seem to be having a conversation amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
This woman says she wants her husband, she's not yet married, but in the future when she has a husband, to run his fingers through her hair. But if they're married, there's nothing wrong with that. So that's Shira. That's her dream, and we're not gonna diss it.
No, not me.
A lot of people don't know the difference between a diviner and a sorcerer. Luckily, I have the Jewish Publication Society commentary on Numbers, and okay, here's the difference. The sorcerer attempts to alter the future, the diviner simply to predict it. So if you're having a problem understanding the difference between a sorcerer and a diviner, that's the difference. A sorcerer attempts to alter the future, a diviner simply predicts it. A lot of innocent people got killed when that plague swept through after the orgy. Like people who didn't partake in the orgy still got killed because there's this doctrine in the Torah of collective punishment that if you simply stand by and let people have an orgy, like on one hand you may not have participated in the orgy, but if you allow evil to flourish, just like the people in Iran, they've allowed evil to flourish, there's a massive attack on Iran's nuclear program and innocent people get killed. Well, they weren't so innocent in that they allowed evil to flourish. And just like the Germans who weren't Nazis, but were just civilians and got firebombed in Dresden, well, they allowed evil to flourish.
Okay.
And so like the Israelites who they didn't do anything they didn't stop the orgy. And this mass orgy took place in their presence. Then some of those who didn't participate in the orgy still got swept up in the plague and killed. And the doctrine of collective punishment is a big part of.
It also says in the Talmud when the Harifa, when like the I guess you could say like the angel of death is released, even the righteous get killed. So somebody standing by who was completely righteous, had nothing to do with it, might also go down. This would be the case, let's say, in the Holocaust. You brought the example of the Holocaust. In the Holocaust, you know,